friends, this is Diane from bohostamper.com. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to start some Valentine cards, beginning with Always in My Heart. Always in My Heart's a stamp set that I won from our onstage Stampin' Up! Conference this year. So right now I've only got the stamp set to play with, but we can get started with that. This is a beautiful suite of cards, the Love You Always suite, and it comes with some really pretty black and white designer series paper. I don't know if I'll get that. I have a ton of paper that I have to get used here, so I know that I do want to get the foil sheets and the specialty designer series paper, which is going to have some foil embossed into the paper. I want to get probably the black matte dots and the heart charms, and we'll probably just add the ribbon too. So this is available now in the January to June mini catalog. Hope you're enjoying that. Let's see here. We have the die set, which has a really pretty detailed heart die, and I also really like this border die that comes with it. It stamps out a lot of little hearts that you can use in your projects, as well as using the border on your card. And we have a time saver card up here. You see the little clock on top of this image. This card just has the detailed heart-shaped die cut out, and it's layered onto a card base that's been stamped with the leaf image, and then the banner die has been cut out and stamped with the greeting on there and added with dimensionals. It's very quick, but a beautiful card. We have a coordinating stamp and die set here as well, the Forever and Always stamp set. It's a really beautiful font. I don't think I have anything quite that pretty, so I might have to invest in it. We'll see. Because I do only have the stamp set and not the coordinating paper, I thought maybe we could use paper Blooms Designer Series paper. This is also available now in the new catalog. This is a set of 12 by 12 sheets. There are 12 sheets in the pack. They're double-sided, so you have 2 pages of each design. I love the bold flower prints on these. Just pretty bright and cheery flowers. So our colors that we have coordinating with this paper are Night of Navy, Old Olive, Petal Pink, Rococo Rose, Seaside Spray, Soft Sea Foam, and Whisper White. I really would like to use some of my Petal Pink paper here. I have quite a bit, and I have some Night of Navy set aside if we need that. Pretty background papers here with stripes and leaves. Those will make just a nice backdrop. What about this? Is that great? I don't know how I'm going to use it yet, but I love it. And Night of Navy background on this, and some pretty delicate pink flowers. This one has some more Night of Navy with little white flowers on it. And this one's really pretty. It has some ginkgo leaf impressions here. That's a ginkgo leaf, right? Yeah, I think it is. Pretty anyway. That was great for Easter cards. I like the stripes. The Rococo Rose is really popular this year. And we might just end up using Rococo Rose here today. So there's another one with more Rococo Rose. Those are pretty little flowers. I like that one too. So let's see here. I think we're going to use the stripe and the little flowers. We have to decide if we want to layer the flowers on the stripes or the stripes on the flowers. Get some of these other ones out of the way. And Petal Pink. I don't know that that's going to match so well. I don't have Petal Pink ink, And I'm afraid that the Blushing Bride might be a little bit too light. Let me go to stamp our greeting. So it's looking like we're gonna use Rococo Rose, which is pretty. I just have an awful lot of petal pink paper to use, but we'll have more Valentines coming up. Yeah, I think we're not going to use that one. That'd be prettier on blue. And this is okay, but that's not what I want to use for a Valentine today. And there's our Night of Navy. We need to have a dark accent on our card. Since there's no blue in this design, though, I don't know. Yeah, we'll start with Rococo Rose. Okay. So let's get our. Well, if you were with me on Hello Monday, these were the cards that we did with Hydrangea Haven. Made that one. This one I started also with Rococo Rose. That was my practice card, and then we did another one with Blackberry Bliss. And this was a cliffhanger card. That's how I ended up finishing the hydrangea flower on the Gorgeous Grape card. I added the Gorgeous Grape ribbon and made a little bow, and then heat embossed my greeting on the front, added the tiny pearls in the center of the little flowers, and I like the way it came out. Yep, one of my little pearls fell off. You can do it. There we go. Yeah, I'm happy that I used the Stitch So Sweetly Dies. I think that really did help the flower stand out on the card. So if you have a chance, go on back and watch Hello Monday's video if you want some inspiration for making a couple of those cards. So let's take the Rococo Rose, and I did use the stamp set once because there are some stains on the stamp. When you use red dye inks, they do tend to stain, but I think for this card I'm going to use You Are Always in My Heart. And we're going to start off cutting our 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock in half, and then scoring it at 4 1/4, and we'll fold that towards the mountain side of the card. And when you score your cardstock, the side that has a little indentation is the valley fold, and the side that has the little bump in the paper, you can see the little hill there, that's the mountain side. Yeah, you can see it there. That's the mountain side of the card. and then the valley side has a crease in it. So we're going to fold it towards the mountain side. Use a bone folder to make a nice clean edge. And then, let's see, I think we'll use a stripe. Yeah, I think I'll use the stripe as my first layer here. So I need to cut this. I'm going to make my stripes going up and down. Remember to watch the direction of your pattern paper so that you cut it accordingly. My stripe paper is going to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Or for people like me who are really horrible with a ruler, I go to 4 1/4 and I move back 2 little lines. And then I do the same thing with the 5 1/2 inch side. I line my paper up to 5 1/2, and then I just move it back 2 little lines. And we're off to a start. With 5 3/8. So now before we just lay the flower designer series paper on top of that, which might get a little contrasty there with the stripes, I think we're going to put the mat of Rococo Rose between the two. I used the Stitched So Sweetly dies on the hydrangea card, and I really did like that. So I think that I will use that to make my layering mats on this card as well. Grab the dies. If you don't have these dies and you would like to just maybe use rectangle pieces, I'm going to I'll try to give you the dimensions that are very near what the die shapes cut out. Okay, we have our little mini Stampin' Up! Emboss and die cutting machine. This is available now. So take a look at that. This is so handy. My little mini boss. I love keeping it right beside me. It has many names. Stampin Cut Emboss, Stem. I think I like my mini boss. Big boss is sitting on the other side of the table. The mini handles sheets of cardstock that are about 3 inches wide, so I'm going to cut a couple pieces down here so that they will fit through the die cutting machine. Here's our Stitch So Sweetly dies, and I'm going to use the largest rectangular die for the first layer of Rococo Rose. And that die measures about 4 by 2 7/8. We're going to start with our number 1 platform in the die cutting machine, and then add a number 2 plate. I'll layer on the cardstock and my die, and another number 2 plate. I don't really want this to move around since it's very close to the edge of the paper, so add a little piece of washi tape on the top there so that it doesn't shimmy over and mess up the paper. Alrighty. Now I can add the second number 2 plate on top, run it through the machine. I'm not sure I have it put on that first plate all the way, but I'll run that back through. So the new mini machine, if you happen to have your catalog, is on page 74, and you can get your details on there about the regular Stampin' Cut Emboss machine and the mini. The mini, like I said, is available now, and in the US is $60. So take a peek. Okay, let me get a piece of the little floral designer series paper, and I think I'll use the next size down of the dies so that we can layer that on. And this rectangle measured about 3 7/8 by 2 3/8. So if you want to cut a rectangle to layer onto your Rococo Rose, that would be your measurements. Get this through here. Apologies for the shaky camera. On the same table here, so try to go easy and not jiggle it around too much. So I thought if we start our Valentines now, by Valentine's Day, we should have enough to send these to all of our little lovelies and make them happy. I pulled out all of my Christmas stamps yesterday and put them into a little box. Darling Donkeys here isn't cute. This one was used a lot right before Christmas time to make New Year's cards, and the little donkey was kicking the 0 off of 2020 like we all did. Darling Donkeys is available now as a free stamp set during Celebration. The Celebration is now through February. I think I'm going to try treasured medallions for my next Valentine. I like the medallions, and I think I'm going to maybe try to stamp that one and use some Stampin' Blends in there and color it in. Yeah, so I might pull some of those Christmas stamps back out here and continue making some Christmas cards. Maybe the 25th of each month I'll do a Christmas card and try to get a jump on 2021's Christmas. So let me think here. Now we're going to, we'll need a Whisper White layer to put a sentiment and some kind of embellishment. I don't think I've got Rococo Rose ribbon. No, I'm still not going to get that petal pink in there. Maybe if we stamp the sentiment on that, I could use some, but I just not liking. And I've been trying to use these little vellum lilies that we have, and I don't know, I think it's just not going to work on this card either, but I will get these onto a Valentine for sure. I just don't want to make it too many different designs in one card. I tend to like mine a little bit more simple, I guess. that pretty much covers up the doily, so that's not going to do us any good. And that's a no. Okay, save that one for later. So one of our challenges was to try to not use Whisper White so much, because that is switching over now to basic white, and Whisper White is out of stock. My upline did let us know that basic white is now available, but I really am not liking the pink on there, so I think we're going to have to get some white out. I guess I would suggest that when you do get your basic white cardstock, if you're using it on a card, I would use all basic white. And if you're using Whisper White on a card, I would use all Whisper White. I'm not quite sure the tones of the white yet, if they match each other exactly, so you're probably better off just trying to use the same white on your card rather than mixing them up. I was lucky, I still have some Whisper White, and I have lots of little scraps here, so we have plenty to use for our greetings. I think I'll have to pull this back out too, and oh yes, I need an anniversary card, and this does have happy anniversary. So I think I'll just take this Stitch So Sweetly Dies and cut another of the smaller ones out. This little die measures about 3 by 2, and you want to cut a rectangle out to layer onto your card. Another one of the stamp sets that's going to come back out that we had as a celebration item a couple of years ago was Hey Chick. And if you have the catalog handy, you can see that Hey Chick has another stamp set that's going to coordinate with it, and it's going to have dies. So I think Monday, on my Hello Monday, I'm going to do a Hey Chick card to reintroduce that. Oh, apologies. This is the first Thursday of the month, so now we're going to listen to our sirens, and then my dogs are going to go crazy. Yep. I got my card ready on Wednesday. I like to take Wednesdays and try to design a card and then get all of the editing done and get this uploaded and put on my webpage for Thursday. I forgot all about the sirens. So, Hey Birthday Chick on page 52 of the catalog will be the new one that's coming out. And so cute. I used my Hey Chick cards for Mother's Day. A little bit more of a modern take than just flowers, although flowers are a go-to for many cards. I like flowers. Well, that was one siren down. We have 2 more to go. Poor the dogs. Get the dies put away here, and we can start putting our card together. Okay. So you are always in my heart. little flower. This is a two-step stamping flower. I haven't used this one yet, so we'll have to have a little practice here and see how the fill stamp is going to fit in there. So that is just stamping the outline stamp. And just turn it around and see how this is going to fit. And this is full strength Rococo Rose ink on the border. I'm a little off there, and that's too dark, so when I go to do my flower, I'm going to stamp off first. And some of the new stamps really don't line up. They're more of an artsy effect, giving me a little bit more of a watercolor look. But I don't think this one actually does line up. I just have to turn the stamp around until I find the combination. Close, very close. And this is where I realized that the bottom petals are where it is the easiest to line up the fill stamp. And there it is. So it only took 3 tries to figure that one out. Okay, just test to make sure my stamp is good, so I'm going to give a nice impression. We can add some little hearts and leaves. I don't think I'm going to add green and introduce another color, so we might just stamp off the Rococo Rose there on the leaves and add those subtly in the background of the flower. And we almost had a big mistake right here, realizing just in time that my card is a portrait card, not a landscape card. Save! So I'm going to stamp a little bit nearer the top and have room to add a flower down there at the bottom. And we'll use that little flower outline stamp, full strength with Rococo Rose, and then get the fill stamp, ink it up, and stamp off once. Now I know I can line up that bottom petal, and it fits in there just right. Yay! Success! This is the little leaf stamp set from the same set that we're using, and I just stamped it off twice so I can have a little bit of a shadow of a leaf there in the background. But my flower is still the focus on my greeting. A little stamp mat helps when you're using photopolymer stamps. It gives a little bit more cushion so that your impressions are better. I do have my Stampin' Up! Grid paper pad here, but I just like the stamp pad underneath to give me a nicer, even stamp. Let's add a couple little hearts here, since it is a Valentine. And I have some white ribbon here that is actually from a combo pack out of the annual catalog. And it came with Misty Moonlight and a silver thread kind of wound up twine. I can't remember what set it came out of, but most of my other white ribbon I did put away after Christmas here, but we still have the white linen one. We're going to add some embellishments here, so we can add rhinestones, and I know that I did see here in my bin the other day some hard epoxy. See if we can find those. If not, rhinestones always make it better. And there we are. So these are heart epoxy droplets. I don't know if they're still available. A lot of these items I did get off of our, we were having our year-end closeout clearance, so you'll have to just see if you have something that you want to use. I have some other little hearts too. I guess I could have used them. Sometimes from paper pumpkin kits. When we have leftover little pieces, I'll just set them aside in my plastic bin and they come in handy for other projects. And because these are clear epoxy hearts, I'm going to make them Rococo Rose. Any of the clear embellishments that you have, if they're enamel dots or blur dots or whatever, you can alter them to make them whatever color you want to match your card with Stampin' Blends. The alcohol ink markers color them in, and you can start out with one layer and have them white, or you can let it dry for a couple seconds there and add another layer, intensifying your color. I don't really know what sizes I'm going to put here on my card, so I'll do a few of these and have them ready. I'm using the dark Rococo Rose Stampin' Blend, and these come in a combo pack with the light and dark colors. So if you are a person who likes to add some shading on your images and your coloring and using the Stampin' Blends, you can add some shading or shadows with your darker color. Perfect. These are going to be great. So let's see what that ribbon is going to look like. I guess I'm going to start putting this together before we pull the ribbon out. Can layer the striped panel onto the card base using Stampin Seal Plus, which is some pretty sticky stuff. You have a little bit of wiggle room if you don't press your paper down. I will say that when we use the hydrangea suite and I was using the acetate sheets, that Stampin Seal Plus is strong. Once I had those layers down, they were stuck. So liquid glue is great when you're using an embossed panel, or if you need something with a little bit of time to be able to wiggle it around. I like to just use my tape runner here when I'm adhering paper and cardstock. Sometimes liquid glue can leave little lines if you're not real careful about what paper you're using it on. I found that especially true on foil paper. I like, if I'm going to use the liquid glue, I like to put it on there and kind of spread it around evenly and not leave just stripes of glue on it. So I think I'm going to add that little bit of white linen ribbon behind my sentiment. And I know that I want to have my top layer dimensionalized, so we'll glue this on flat. So just using the Stampin Seal Plus again on the back. Try to make that go pretty even across the bottom of this layer. Pretty handy. He has the little flowers to help keep me in line. And I can trim off the excess. Excuse me. I do want to remember when you add your Stampin' Seal Plus to the back of this layer to adhere it, to go over that ribbon piece a little bit so that when you have your layers put together, the ribbon does not accidentally slide out. Just a little hint there to make sure your ribbon is secure. So we'll get this panel centered into our striped layer. And then we have our greeting that I'm going to pop up with Stampin' Dimensionals. And Stampin' Dimensionals are little foam adhesive dots. They come in a couple of different sizes, larger ones like this for our panels, and then small ones, mini ones, for some of our die cuts. And these are also available in black. So those come in handy on Halloween for sure. Alright, we get this centered onto the middle of our little floral layer. And use some of our hearts. This take your pick tool is a great tool, but sometimes for little embellishments, I still think I like my pokey tool. I think if the heart on there straight, it would probably look better. And because my little fat thumb there doesn't want to get that on there quite right, We're going to get Pokey Tool to the rescue. Well, I guess not. I struggled through it. I thought I gave in and had Pokey Tools rescue me. I did. This just has such a nice fine point on it that when you're using little dots and embellishments, it's easy to get this underneath and still see what you're doing. And so here we have our first Valentine for 2021. And I hope that this inspires you to get crafty and go make a card and send a smile to somebody. Remember to email me at diane@bohostamper.com if you have any questions or if you're interested in joining my stamping team. Have a wonderful day, and thank you all for joining me, and we'll see you again. Enjoy your cards.